Every drop of sweat you've shed, every overtime hour you've worked, every weekend you've sacrificed has made someone else wealthy while you stay poor. Your boss drives a Mercedes while you take the bus. Your company's owner vacations in Europe while you can't afford a weekend getaway. The shareholders get rich off your labor while you worry about paying rent. This isn't an accident or bad luck. It's the natural result of a system where employees create wealth and owners capture it. You've been trained to be proud of your work ethic, but your work ethic is nothing more than a tool that other people use to build their fortunes. The construction company owner gets rich from every house you build. The restaurant owner profits from every table you serve. Until you stop working for other people's dreams and start building your own, you'll always be the one doing the work while someone else gets the reward. There's a man I know who gets up every morning at 5 o'clock. He puts on his work boots, grabs his lunch pail, and heads out into the freezing cold or scorching heat for 8 hours straight. He lifts, carries, hammers, and sweats. His hands are rough, his back aches, and by the end of each day, he's completely exhausted. He works harder than most people you'll ever meet. Yet, after 20 years of this back-breaking work, he earns $50,000 a year down the street. There's another man who wakes up at 7:30, he showers, puts on a comfortable shirt, and drives to an air-conditioned office. He spends his day in meetings, making phone calls, and working on his computer. He rarely breaks a sweat. His hands are soft, and he goes home each evening with energy to spare. This man earns $500,000 a year, 10 times more than the construction worker. Now, which one of these men works harder? The answer seems obvious, doesn't it? But here's what will shock you. The marketplace doesn't care how hard you work. It only cares about how much value you create. This is the hard truth that no one wants to tell you. But understanding it will change your financial life forever. I learned this lesson the hard way when I was young. I worked as a dishwasher in a restaurant. I scrubbed pots and pans until my fingers were raw. I worked as a farm laborer, picking crops under the blazing sun. I dug ditches, carried lumber, and did every kind of manual labor you can think of. I was proud of my work ethic. I thought that working harder than everyone else would guarantee my success, but I was wrong, dead wrong, after years of this. I was still broke. I was working harder than ever, but my bank account wasn't growing. I was trapped in what I now call the hard work illusion. I believed that effort equals results, that sweat equals dollars, that the harder I worked, the more I would earn. This belief kept me poor for years. The breakthrough came when I met a successful businessman who told me something that changed everything. He said, "Brian, you're working hard, but you're not working smart. You're like a man trying to cut down a tree with a dull axe. You can swing that axe all day long, but if it's not sharp, you'll never cut down the tree." That's when I realized I had been running on a treadmill. I was putting in tremendous effort, but I wasn't going anywhere. I was busy, but not productive. I was working, but not creating value. Here's the truth that will set you free. Hard work without direction is just spinning your wheels. It's like driving your car with the emergency brake on. You can press the gas pedal as hard as you want, but you won't go very fast. Most people have been taught the wrong formula for success. They think it's time plus effort equals results, but that's incomplete. The real formula is time plus effort multiplied by value equals results. That multiplier, that value component, is what makes all the difference. Let me explain what I mean. Two people can work the same number of hours with the same level of effort, but one can earn 10 times more than the other. The difference isn't in how hard they work, it's in the value they create through their work. The construction worker creates value, but it's limited value. He can only work so many hours in a day. His body can only handle so much physical stress. His income is directly tied to his physical presence and effort. When he stops working, his income stops too. The businessman, on the other hand, has learned to create value through other means. He solves problems that are worth hundreds of thousands of dollars to his company. He makes decisions that affect hundreds of people. He creates systems that work even when he's not there. His value isn't measured by how much he sweats, but by how much he contributes to the bottom line. This is why teachers, nurses, and social workers who do incredibly important work for society often earn less than salespeople, managers, and business owners. It's not that their work isn't valuable to humanity, it's that the economic marketplace values different types of contributions differently. The marketplace is like a giant auction house. It pays premium prices for rare and valuable skills, and it pays basic wages for common skills that anyone can learn quickly. This isn't fair or unfair, it's just reality. And once you understand this reality, you can use it to your advantage. The hardest workers often earn the least because they're focused on working harder instead of working smarter. They're trying to dig a hole faster instead of getting a bigger shovel. They're competing on effort instead of competing on value. But here's the good news. You can change this starting today. You don't have to be trapped in the hard work illusion forever. You can learn to create more value in less time. You can learn to work smarter, not just harder. The secret is understanding that your income is determined by three factors: the demand for what you do, your ability to do it, and how difficult you are to replace. If you're doing work that many other people can do, your income will always be limited. But if you develop skills that are rare and valuable, your income potential becomes unlimited. This doesn't mean you should stop working hard. Hard work is still important, but hard work must be combined with smart work. You need both the engine and the steering wheel. The engine gives you power, but the steering wheel gives you direction. The most successful people I know work hard, but they work hard on the right things. They focus their energy on activities that create the most value. They understand that not all work is created equal, and they choose their battles carefully. This understanding separates the wealthy from the poor, the successful from the struggling, the leaders from the followers. It's not about working more hours. It's about making your hours count for more. Now that you understand why hard work alone doesn't guarantee high income, let me show you the 4 types of workers in our economy and why their earning potential is so different. Understanding which category you're in right now will help you see exactly what you need to do to move up to the next level. The first type is what I call the physical laborer. These are the people who use their bodies to create value. Construction workers, factory workers, landscapers, warehouse employees, and restaurant servers all fall into this category. They trade their time and physical effort directly for money. Their income is limited by 3 factors: how many hours they can work, how fast they can work, and how long their bodies can handle the physical demands. Most physical laborers earn between $25,000 and $60,000 per year. Some skilled trades can earn more, but they're still trapped by the same limitations. A construction worker might make excellent money during busy seasons, but when he gets injured or when there's no work available, his income drops to 0 immediately. His earning power is directly tied to his physical presence and capability. The second type is the skilled technician. These workers have developed specific expertise in their field. Electricians, plumbers, mechanics, nurses, teachers, and computer programmers all fit here. They've invested time and money in learning specialized skills that not everyone possesses. This gives them more value in the marketplace than physical laborers. Skilled technicians typically earn between $40,000 and $100,000 per year. They have more job security than physical laborers because their skills are harder to replace. However, they're still trading hours for dollars. A skilled technician might earn $50 per hour instead of $15, but They're still limited by the number of hours in a day. When they stop working, their income stops. The third type is the problem solver. These are people who create value through thinking rather than just doing. Sales professionals, managers, consultants, and small business owners fall into this category. They don't just follow instructions or perform tasks. They identify problems and find solutions. They make decisions that affect outcomes. Problem solvers can earn anywhere from $60,000 to several $100,000 per year. Their income isn't directly tied to physical effort or even to the number of hours they work. A talented salesperson might close a $1 million deal in a 2-hour meeting. A consultant might solve a problem that saves a company hundreds of thousands of dollars. Their value comes from results, not from time spent. The fourth and highest level is the value creator. These are the people who build systems, lead organizations, and multiply the efforts of others. Successful entrepreneurs, executives, investors, and business owners belong here. They don't just solve individual problems. They create entire systems that solve problems automatically and repeatedly. Value creators have unlimited income potential. They might earn millions of dollars per year because they've learned to leverage other people's time, money, and efforts. A business owner doesn't personally serve every customer, but they profit from every transaction their employees make. An investor doesn't personally manage every property, but they collect rent from dozens of tenants. Here's what's fascinating. These four types aren't determined by education, background, or natural talent. They're determined by how you think about work and value creation. I've met college graduates working as physical laborers and high school dropouts who became successful value creators. The progression from one level to the next requires a fundamental shift in mindset. Physical laborers focus on completing tasks. Skilled technicians focus on perfecting their craft. Problem solvers focus on creating results. Value creators focus on building systems and leading people. Most people get stuck in the first two categories because they're comfortable there. A skilled technician might say, I'm good at what I do, I have job security, why should I risk trying something different? But comfort is the enemy of growth. The skills that got you to your current level, the marketplace rewards each type differently because of scarcity and impact. There are millions of people who can do physical labor, so the pay remains low. There are fewer people with technical skills, so they earn more. There are even fewer effective problem solvers, so they command higher fees. And there are very few true value creators, which is why they can earn extraordinary incomes. Understanding these categories helps explain why a janitor who works 12 hours a day earns less than a software engineer who works 6 hours a day. It's not about effort. It's about the type of value being created and how difficult that person is to replace. The good news is that you can move from one category to another. It requires learning new skills, changing your mindset, and often taking some risks. But thousands of people make this transition every year. Factory workers become successful salespeople, employees become business owners, technicians become consultants. The key is recognizing where you are now and deciding where you want to be. Each level requires different skills, different thinking, and different actions, but the potential rewards increase dramatically as you move up the ladder. The biggest barrier between where you are now and where you want to be isn't lack of opportunity or resources. It's the poverty mindset that keeps you trapped in the work harder mentality. This mindset whispers in your ear that the only way to earn more is to work more hours, take on more tasks, or push yourself to exhaustion. Breaking free from this trap requires a complete mental revolution. You must stop thinking like an employee and start thinking like an owner. You must shift from working in your life to working on your life. When you work in your life, you're like a hamster on a wheel. You're busy, you're moving, you're working hard, but you're not making real progress. You're focused on tasks, activities. and staying busy. When you work on your life, you step back and ask the bigger questions. What activities create the most value? What skills would multiply my income? How can I solve bigger problems for more people? Well, this is where the 80/20 principle becomes your best friend. In every area of life, 20% of your activities create 80% of your results. But most people spend 80% of their time on low-value activities that produce only 20% of their income. They answer emails, attend unnecessary meetings, and busy themselves with tasks that don't move the needle. The wealthy do the opposite. They identify the 20% of activities that generate 80% of their income, and they focus ruthlessly on those activities. They delegate, eliminate, or ignore everything else. Here's what separates high earners from everyone else. They've mastered skills that multiply their income. Leadership allows you to multiply your efforts through other people. Sales skills let you create value by connecting solutions with problems. Negotiation skills help you capture more of the value you create. Strategic thinking helps you see opportunities that others miss. Our education system fails us here because it trains employees, not entrepreneurs. Schools teach you to follow instructions, memorize information, and avoid mistakes. But success in the real world requires the opposite skills: taking initiative, solving new problems, and learning from failures. Bill Gates dropped out of Harvard to start Microsoft. Richard Branson struggled with dyslexia but built a billion-dollar empire. Sam Walton started Walmart in a small Arkansas town with no advantages except his determination to serve customers better than anyone else. None of these men succeeded because of their formal education. They succeeded because they learned to create massive value for other people. The compound effect of learning high-value skills is extraordinary. When you develop your ability to lead people, every person you influence multiplies your impact. When you improve your sales skills, every conversation becomes an opportunity. When you learn to think strategically, you start seeing possibilities everywhere. But here's the mental shift that changes everything. You must stop trading time for money. As long as your income depends on your personal time and effort, your earning potential will always be limited. There are only 24 hours in a day, and you can't work all of them. Wealthy people have learned to break free from this limitation. They create systems that generate income without their constant presence. They build teams that produce results while they sleep. They invest in assets that appreciate in value over time. They earn money from their money, not just from their time. This doesn't happen overnight, but it starts with changing how you think about work. Instead of asking, how can I work harder? Start asking, how can I create more value? Instead of thinking, I need to put in more hours, start thinking, I need to make my hours more valuable. The transformation begins in your mind. You must see yourself not as someone who trades time for money, but as someone who creates solutions for problems. You're not just an employee following orders. You're a value creator, solving challenges and improving lives. This mental shift is uncomfortable at first because it requires taking responsibility for your results instead of just showing up and doing what you're told. But this discomfort is the price of admission to a higher level of success and income. Now, let me give you the 7 principles that separate high earners from everyone else. These aren't theories or nice ideas. These are proven strategies that work in the real world. Principle 1, specialize in high-value activities. The marketplace pays premium prices for rare skills. A heart surgeon earns more than a general practitioner because fewer people can perform heart surgery. A software architect earns more than a code writer because architectural skills are scarcer. Find your area of specialization and become so good at it that people can't ignore you. Principle 2, solve expensive problems. The bigger the problem you solve, the bigger your paycheck. Companies will pay $50,000 to solve a $50,000 problem. They'll pay $500,000 to solve a $5 million problem. Stop solving small problems and start looking for the expensive ones that keep executives awake at night. Principle 3, build relationships, not just products. Your network truly determines your net worth. The most successful people I know aren't necessarily the smartest or most talented. They're the ones who've built strong relationships with the right people. Every major opportunity in your career will come through relationships. Invest in people before you need them. Principle 4, think in systems, not tasks. Wealthy people create systems that work without their constant attention. McDonald's doesn't depend on one person flipping burgers. Their system ensures consistency whether the owner is there or not. Build processes and systems that can operate and generate value even when you're not directly involved. Principle 5, master the art of leverage. Use other people's time, money, and resources to multiply your results. A real estate investor uses the bank's money to buy properties and tenants' rent to pay the mortgage. A business owner uses employees' time to serve customers. Find ways to accomplish more through leverage than you ever could through personal effort alone. Principle 6, continuous learning and adaptation. The half-life of knowledge is shrinking rapidly. What you learned 5 years ago might be obsolete today. High earners are learning machines. They read constantly, attend seminars, hire coaches, and stay ahead of changes in their industry. They treat learning as an investment, not an expense. Principle 7, take calculated risks. Security-minded people think about what they might lose. Opportunity-minded people think about what they might gain. Every significant increase in income requires taking some level of risk. But successful people don't take foolish risks. They calculate the odds, minimize the downside, and maximize the upside. The biggest mistake people make is trying to implement all 7 principles at once. Pick one principle that resonates most with you and focus on it for the next 90 days. Master it before moving to the next one. Remember, these principles work regardless of your current situation, education, or background. I've seen people transform their incomes by applying just 1 or 2 of these concepts consistently. The key is taking action, not just collecting information. Your current income reflects your current value to the marketplace, but your future income can be completely different if you apply these principles starting today. Let me tell you about Sarah Martinez, a woman who transformed her life using exactly what I've shared with you today. 3 years ago, Sarah was working 60 hours a week as a customer service representative, earning $35,000 a year. She was exhausted, frustrated, and felt trapped. She kept thinking that if she just worked harder, stayed later, and took on more responsibility, her boss would finally give her the raise she deserved. But that raise never came. Instead, her company hired a new manager from outside who earned twice her salary while working half her hours. That's when Sarah realized she was playing by the wrong rules. She was focused on working harder when she should have been focused on creating more value. Sarah started with a simple audit of her daily activities. She wrote down everything she did for 1 week, then categorized each activity as either high value or low value. What she found shocked her. She was spending less than 2 hours per day on activities that actually solved problems or created results. The rest of her time was consumed by emails, meetings, and busy work that anyone could do within 30 days. Sarah made her first major change. She volunteered to lead a project that had been sitting on her manager's desk for months. Instead of just completing tasks, she started identifying problems and proposing solutions. When customers called with complaints, instead of just processing their requests, she started tracking patterns and presenting monthly reports with recommendations for preventing future issues. Her manager noticed immediately. For the first time in her career, Sarah wasn't just another employee. She was someone who made the manager's job easier and the department more profitable. By day 60, Sarah had taken her first calculated risk. She approached her manager with a proposal to implement a new customer retention system she had researched and designed. Instead of asking for permission, she presented a complete business case showing how her system could save the company $50,000 per year. Her manager was so impressed that he gave her a small budget to test the idea. The system worked better than anyone expected. Customer complaints dropped by 40% in the first quarter. The company saved $75,000 in the first year. Sarah had solved an expensive problem. And the marketplace rewarded her accordingly. She received a promotion and a $15,000 raise. But Sarah didn't stop there. She understood that her success came from applying principles, not just working harder. She started building relationships with people in other departments. She joined industry associations and attended networking events. She began reading books about business strategy and taking online courses in leadership. By day 90, Sarah had identified her next opportunity. She learned that companies in her industry were struggling with the same customer retention problems her company had faced. She saw a chance to become a consultant, helping other businesses implement similar systems. Sarah spent the next 6 months preparing for this transition. She documented her system, created training materials, and built relationships with potential clients. She didn't quit her job immediately. Instead, she started consulting on weekends and evenings, building her reputation and client base gradually. 18 months after starting her transformation, Sarah left her corporate job to become a full-time consultant. In her first year as a consultant, she earned $90,000. Last year, she earned $160,000. This year, she's on track to earn over $200,000. Sarah didn't develop any magical new talents. She didn't go back to school or get an advanced degree. She simply stopped trading time for money and started creating value for other people. She moved from being a task completer to a problem solver to a value creator. Here's your action plan to follow Sarah's path. Starting today, for the next 30 days, conduct your own activity audit. Write down everything you do during your workday. At the end of each day, mark each activity as either high value or low value. High value activities solve problems, create results, or build relationships. Low value activities are things that anyone could do or that don't directly contribute to outcome. Your goal is to spend at least 50% of your time on high value activities within 30 days. This might mean saying no to some meetings, delegating routine tasks, or simply eliminating activities that don't add value. It will feel uncomfortable at first because you're changing habits you've had for years. For day 31 through 60. Focus on identifying and solving one expensive problem in your workplace or industry. Look for problems that cost your company money, waste time, or create frustration. Don't just identify the problem. Research solutions, create proposals, and present complete recommendations. This is how you transition from task completer to problem solver. For days 61 through 90. Start building your network and developing high-value skills. Attend industry events, join professional associations, and connect with people who are where you want to be. Invest in learning skills that multiply income, leadership, sales, negotiation, or strategic thinking. Treat this as an investment in your future, not an expense. After 90 days, you should start seeing results. You might get a promotion, a raise, or new opportunities. But don't stop there. The most successful people I know are constantly applying these principles. They're always looking for bigger problems to solve, more valuable skills to develop, and better relationships to build. Here's what you must understand. Transformation is not comfortable. There will be days when you want to go back to your old way of doing things. There will be people who don't understand what you're doing or who try to discourage you. You might make mistakes or face setbacks, but every person who has significantly increased their income has gone through this same process. They've all had to push through the discomfort of change. They've all had to take risks and face uncertainty. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't isn't talent or luck. It's persistence and the willingness to keep applying these principles even when it's difficult. Your potential is unlimited. The same marketplace that rewards other people for creating value will reward you too. The same principles that have worked for millions of others will work for you. But you must start. You must take the first step. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Don't wait until you feel ready. Start today with the activity audit. Start identifying problems you could solve. Start building relationships with people who can help you grow. Your income 3 years from now will be determined by the actions you take in the next 90 days. Sarah Martinez proved that transformation is possible for anyone willing to apply these principles consistently. The only question left is, will you be the next success story? Or will you still be wondering, what if 3 years from now? The choice is yours. Your future starts today.